My heart was racing, and I think everyone around us was also. There was a lot of screaming going on in the theater.
For today's video, a massive rogue wave has hit a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, causing it to lean or list, that's the technical term for it, to one side, causing multiple injuries among both the passengers and crew on board. Now, when you hear the term rogue wave, what do you think of? A movie like The Perfect Storm, perhaps, one of my favorite movies till this day. Maybe Poseidon. I gotta admit, that scene with Kurt Russell when he was drowning, first of all, chef's kiss, perfect acting. However, it was a little too realistic for many people, myself included. Or maybe even Titanic. Rest in peace, Jack and Rose. Now, we are going to watch a couple viral clips that are circulating around the internet revolving around this situation that has taken place. We will watch a news clip just to give you a little bit more context on what has gone down. And then after, I will go over some further details when it comes to things like rogue waves, my experience when taking this similar itinerary, a Transatlantic, because honestly, I do believe it's not for the faint of heart sometimes, depending on when you go, as well as my time working on board when I had a similar situation involving a storm and a cruise ship leaning to one side. Anyway, let's go ahead and sail into the video clips. Of course, if you guys find this video valuable in any way, shape, or form, make sure you subscribe and of course hit that like button. And here we go. You heard in the beginning, apparently they did a big turn. In his most California voice, we turned hard. Wow. I'm assuming that's the Royal Promenade, by the way. Look at these people holding on for dear life. Wow.
No, there's no way. Stays one direction. Now we're coming back.
Wow. Look at this couple just pressing through. Somebody's got their sea legs.
We sent her down. It's okay.
At least they got a cool story when they get home. All right, it looks like this is what's taking place on the crew end. And there it goes. Can't imagine how much all that damage is going to cost. All those bottles of wine. Look at this man over here holding on strong. Now here, I'm assuming people here are going to be a little bit more experienced. They all got their sea legs, so you see how they're all standing sturdy. They know where to go. They know what to do. Experience. They prepared their whole lives for this, so this is nothing to them. As you're looking around, notice the difference from how the crew versus the passenger is. There was a little bit more panic on the passenger side because most of them aren't used to this. But the crew, find something to hold on to, get a strong stance, and just hold strong. Talk about experience. Look at this guy, he's gonna press on. Another day in the office for them. I think this is another angle. Yeah. Basically what we saw earlier from another person's camera view. There's that couple again. Look at all that damage. Anyway, let's go ahead and watch the news clip.
What an ordeal for cruise ship passengers who were on a transatlantic cruise from Spain to Miami when suddenly they ran into bad weather. Tables and chairs flying, glass breaking, terrifying moments aboard Royal Caribbean's Explorer of the Seas Thursday night.
Yeah, I bet it was terrifying for some of the passengers.
I think everyone around us was also. There was a lot of screaming going on in the theater.
Randy Moore was in the theater when the ship suddenly listed. Then it happened again.
Like 30 seconds later.
Oh, it happened twice.
The ship like tilted even more to that side.
Wow.
And that's when there was a lot of screaming and stuff started sliding across the stage, and it was kind of scary for a minute.
Almost right then and there, you could hear all the glass dropping from the bar and breaking. They had a grand piano that flew across the stage. All the floors.
Jonathan Parrish was in the theater.
I can tell you, I know from personal experience, performing on stage while the ship is shifting over and leaning over, it's not fun.
During an unexpected wind gust near Tenerife, Spain, one of our sailings experienced sudden movement.
they said the winds went from 46 miles per hour up to 84 miles per
Whew.
hour.
It's a big jump.
In 6 minutes. And so, not much you can do about that with Mother Nature.
Across the ship, a mess, as merchandise was thrown all over, liquor bottles crashed to the ground, even the casino sustained damage. One person was hurt. On the map, you can see the ship is heading back to the Canary Islands to drop off the injured passenger.
It was just kind of mind-blowing.
Hope that passenger's okay.
Now looking back on it, it's like, oh my gosh, that could have been a lot worse.
Passengers tell us they're
definitely
going to
could
be
have been worse.
delayed by 3 days getting back to the port of Miami. They should be back on the 17th.
Now, just to give you some more additional information, the cruise ship that was involved in this natural phenomenon was Royal Caribbean's Explorer of the Seas. It was originally built and began operation in the year 2000 and holds about 4,000 passengers, give or take. And at the time, it was in the middle of about a 2-week transatlantic cruise from Spain going over to Miami between the dates of November 2nd through November 14th. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, what the heck is a rogue wave? Well, according to Google, when waves formed by a storm developed in a water current against normal wave direction, the interaction can take place, which results in a shortening of wave frequency, thus causing a rogue wave. As far as causes, there are many, by the way, one of which being wind, another sound amplification, constructive interference, and wave interaction with currents. Now, let's talk transatlantics. If you don't know what a transatlantic is, basically, it's a cruise ship that crosses the Atlantic Ocean. Normally, it's doing either a repositioning or it's a brand new ship coming from the shipyard, presumably somewhere over in Europe, and going over to its home port over in this particular case, Miami. I did experience a transatlantic on board the Carnival Celebration. Our cruise stopped 2 years ago started rather, in Southampton, UK, but we did stop in the same place that Explorer of the Seas stopped at over in the Canary Islands, specifically Tenerife. And even when we got over there, the weather was a little inclement for everybody's personal liking. However, it's a transatlantic, and as you guys know, even now included with this, the hurricane season, a lot of hurricanes, most of them, I believe all of them actually, don't quote me on this, I'm not a meteorologist, but they do form over in the Atlantic, meaning the weather over there isn't going to be very favorable. So when you have cruise ships that are going across and doing the transatlantic, there is a potential for rough weather. I have experienced this, and there is a good chance if you do a transatlantic, while of course you get to possibly have a 2-week cruise for potentially a discount, you get to go to itineraries that most people may not be able to go to, and of course there is the luxury of potentially having a relatively lighter or empty ship. There is the possibility that you may have to deal with some bad weather. Now, as many of you know, I am a former crew member. I've worked for multiple cruise lines. However, back when I worked for Norwegian Cruise Line, or NCL, back in 2018 and 2019, we did have an experience. I was over at the crew bar. That's where I was pretty much every single night. I'm a very social person. Not a huge drinker, I'm more of a social drinker, if you will. But at one point in the middle of the night, we ended up listing, I believe it was like 20 or 25%. There were some injuries among the crew as well. And thankfully, there were no major injuries, but of course, there was a lot of damage, as you saw in this video as well. One thing I did mention in the video is that the crew members are very experienced. They do have sea legs, meaning they are used to dealing with, let's say, a rocky cruise or potentially even a rogue wave to a certain extent. If you watch the video, you see the passengers are flailing around all over the place. Meanwhile, the crew, they already knew what to do. Make a strong stance, find something to hold on to, and just kind of ride out the leaning and listing until it's over. Anyway, I just want to reassure all of you that cruise ships are safe. In this particular situation, this is very, very rare. There have been some instances in the past. However, if you think the cruise ship is going to turn all the way to its side or upside down like Poseidon, well, it will never happen. Cruise ships, they are very good at avoiding storms. There are some freak accidents, like in this particular case that you see every now and then, but cruise ships are safe, especially when you stack them up to other vacation options. But anyway, that's what I have for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you have not already. And as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.